And wait for this to load. And I think we are good to go here. All right. Welcome to week number 1 of the 6-week SEO Masterclass. I think we are live and good to go here. I'm going to close that. Thank you guys for jumping on today. I do appreciate you being part of this. Let's see. I just want to make sure we're going. All right. We are good to go here. All right. So session number 1 is all about understanding your customer. My name's Will Hankey. My business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. You guys know that because you got the notifications. So we are talking all about understanding your customer. And really, this is the foundation. This is the big piece of your entire digital marketing strategy. Now, you would think, well, I need to jump in and start doing stuff to my website, right? I need to start optimizing my site. But quite honestly, the first piece of this is kind of building the foundation, and that's understanding your customer and understanding some of these foundational pieces. So the things we're going to talk about today, does SEO still really matter in the overall scheme of today's marketing world? Obviously, we're going to talk about understanding your customer, and then we're going to talk about keyword research, one of the main cruxes of everything that we do. As I said, my name is William Hankey, or Will Hankey. I wrote a book called Triple Your Window Treatment and Awning Leads. If you don't have a copy of this book, I want to get one of these in your hands for sure. You can go to the website, wtmarketingpros.com/book, plug your mailing address into there, and I'll drop one of these in the mail to you. Absolutely no charge. So make sure that you do that. But we're Google partners. We've been around. My business has been around for 27 years now. I had a generalist agency take any client that came along in the marketing world. And in 2017, I niched down to just doing digital marketing for window treatment and awning companies. So that's all we do now. We've been top rated by SEO Blog the last couple of years in a row. I am also a 7-figure agency mentor. We're a veteran-owned business, and I'm very, very excited about what I do. So been doing this for quite a while. Now, when it comes to Q&A, I want to make sure that I get all of your questions answered, not just now, but over the next 6 weeks. So we put a couple things in play. First of all, if you have questions today, I want you to put those in the chat if you're live. So we're broadcasting on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, a couple different places. A lot of you are joining us live on Zoom as well. So if you have a question, pop that into the chat. I'll do my best to kind of pay attention to all of these different resources and try to answer your questions. Now, if I miss it, I'm also going to circle back around at the end and ask if you have any questions. So if I miss it, put it back in there at the end, and I'll try to answer your questions in there as well. The other thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you some resources and maybe a little homework that you can go back and do. If you have questions after the fact, we have a private Facebook group called Window Treatment and Awning Marketing Secrets. And you can join that group absolutely free and post your questions in there. We can jump in and answer those questions. My team is in there, get those questions, give you resources, all that kind of stuff in there. So we want to set you up for success. We want to give you the resources to get that success, and make sure that you have a way to get those questions answered as well. So either way, we're going to get the answers to you. So if you've been on any of my past classes, and I've been teaching well over 10 years, doing monthly workshops, things like that. You're probably familiar with what we call our digital dominance method. The digital dominance method, we've kind of boiled down all of the things that we do related to digital marketing into 12 main buckets, I guess you could call it. And each of those is a piece of digital marketing that you could be doing for your business. Now, inside of all of these buckets are smaller buckets, right, of things that you could be doing. But these are the main 12 things that you could be doing. Now, today, we're going to be mostly focusing on number 2, which is around the foundations, your local SEO, building the foundation for your marketing campaign. So I do have a worksheet, and I want you guys to go grab this worksheet. So go over to your browser and type this in. I'll give you a minute to type this in. bit.ly/WTMP-SEO-Masterclass-worksheet. I made it nice and short for you. So type that in, and that will take you to a worksheet that you'll be able to use over the next 6 weeks. So I'll give you a minute. I'll leave that up on the screen. I'll give you a minute. Just put in the chat, just stick a 1 in the chat when you're done, when you've got access to that. I'll grab a drink of water. Make sure you guys are able to access that. Maybe next time I'll make it a little shorter. I'm sorry. Good. All right, you guys are getting that. Awesome. So this will help you. I called it the route planner, but it'll help you. There's a link in the chat, make it a little bit easier for you. Thank you, Liz. They'll make it a little bit easier for you to kind of go along, move along. There is going to be some homework, some things that you kind of got to think through that'll help you with some of this. But I want to kind of move through it today, explain some things to you, get the ball rolling in that direction. And then, you can come back to this later, print it out, and get some ideas of some things that'll help you with over the next 6 weeks. All right. Awesome. Fantastic. So let's start with some questions before we kind of jump into this thing. I want you to answer this in the chat, or if you're live on Zoom, you can unmute and just answer. So when you think of SEO, what do you think? I'd love to hear what you guys think when you hear that phrase or that acronym. Somebody unmute and tell me what you think. Who's brave? All right, Jason says search engine optimization. What does that mean? What does that mean when you hear that, though? Leah says being number 1 on Google. Awesome. Yes. Anybody else have anything? Top ranked on searches? Good. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a big piece of it. Obviously, when you hear somebody talking about that, that's the first thing your head goes to. Top rank on searches organically, right? That's very true. There are other ways to sneak up there as well. Yeah, very true. All right, here's another question for you. What is the biggest obstacle to marketing your business like you'd really like to? And not even just digitally. I mean, that's probably a big piece to it. But what is the biggest obstacle to being able to do it? Okay, Lori says time. Time to get everything done, especially if you're busy running a business. That obviously makes a lot of sense, right? There's a finite amount of that for sure. Leah says knowing what keywords to target. Sure. Google's really good at helping you spend your money, and you can go through a budget pretty quickly. Jason says budget and how to spend advertising dollars wisely. There we go. As I said, Google's really, really helpful when it comes to being able to spend your money quickly and maybe not wisely. So that's definitely something that is very, very valid. So, all right, here's another one. If you had an unlimited marketing budget, what crazy thing would you like to do? This is a question I ask a lot of times on my podcast, and I always love to hear the answers to this. I get some mild answers like doing billboards, all the way up to some pretty crazy things involving monster trucks and other things. But I'd love to hear if you guys had an unlimited budget, what kind of out of the box different thing do you think you could come up with? And maybe this is something you can't pull out of a hat because you never had to think about it. But definitely something worth thinking about. I'm reading a book called Vivid Vision right now, and it talks about, what is that 3 to 5 year vision look like? And you kind of have to kind of mess with your head a little bit and think, what does that craziness look like if you had your way and built everything right? So no reason to answer that one, but definitely something that should be bouncing around in the back of your head, I think. And all right, one more question. On a scale of 1 to 5, how important is growing your business this year? Yeah, 5. I think that's pretty obvious, right? Growing your business is a big part of it this year and every year, right? Nobody really wants to be stale. Leah says a 6. There you go. I like that. Aggressive. That's awesome. So, all right. Does SEO still matter? Yes, obviously. It's a big part of everything we do. It's definitely a part of our world nowadays. When it comes to people looking online or people just looking in general for a service or even a product, everybody's going to Google. And with the help of the home assistants nowadays, I can't name one of them built by Amazon because she'll start asking me what I want. But there's also Siri and of course Google Home Assistant and some of the others. But these devices really help a lot as well. But then of course we've got the elephant in the room, Google, that helps us every single day with everything we search for. And people are searching for the things that we're offering too, window treatments, things like that. The big thing here is what we call the 3-pack. In my world, we also call it the snack pack for some reason. But typically 3 results. There's always a map and then what we call pins. There's always the pins in there. And this is the biggest part of what drives leads for our clients. In fact, out of all the clients that we have, 60, sometimes 70% of their leads come from being listed in this 3-pack. It is that important to our clients. So that's a big part of it. The other big thing, obviously, is being listed at the top of the organic rankings, as Jason mentioned, being in that top organic ranking. 71% of the clicks go to these 2 areas. And by that, I mean the maps, the 3-pack, and the first 2 results in Google. If you're in that area, you're highly, highly likely to get a click and probably a lead from that particular search. So, this is a screenshot of the first 6 months from one of our clients of 2020. And a couple things to notice here. There were 1,098 goal completions. And by that, we mean somebody filled out a form or picked up the phone and called. And the real crazy thing to notice here is that we had something in 2020 called COVID, right? That hit us. We'll say March, April was the time frame. In fact, this particular client was closed the entire month of April. And you can pretty much see their leads hardly slowed down. This was because they had a solid SEO campaign in place. They had the pieces in place that it hardly even slowed them down, right? You can see 846 of their leads were phone calls. 67 people downloaded some sort of a guide. I think they had a design guide, something like that on the site. 12 people downloaded the Hunter Douglas catalog, which is actually a really small number. But you can see that because they had this in place, even during a crazy pandemic, that things just kind of kept cruising along, which is pretty impressive. 74% of their traffic during that time came from organic search, which is insane. If you looked at different related searches, they were in position number 1 for everything related to search for window treatments in their area. So yeah, SEO still matters. You can't just rely on pay-per-click by itself. This is one thing that really kind of has always been a strategy for us. And I probably don't go a week without speaking to somebody who just wants to run paid ads all the time. And we don't take clients that just want to run ads because we see it as a bad long-term strategy. As long as you're running ads, the phone will ring, and that's great. But if you decide to stop running ads, there's no plan B. The phone will stop ringing. So our personal strategy is let's build your SEO up, and then paid ads becomes a luxury. It becomes a supplement, something that you can just really kind of have as something extra to build on. Same for social media. It becomes this brand exposure thing that just amps up something else that you've already built really, really well. So that's why we're doing this class, to really help you guys build this foundation and really make it something that is always driving leads for you guys. So the start to this is all around building a customer persona and understanding how that works for your business. So there's a couple pieces to this. First piece of that is to gather data. Look at your customer base and start to look at, okay, what is the common thing about these people? Now, we're not going to get super granular, but what is the common thing in most cases about these people? Identify those patterns, look at the data, find those common themes, start to create personas. We're going to go through some of this today. And then start to look at things like Google Analytics, social media insights. There are some other tools that you can use to help gather some of those pieces of data as well. So, all right. So how do customers kind of find you? What would be some things that they would do to find you? So what we like to do, and what we've done for countless clients, is define your buyers. We call these personas. Some people call them avatars, right? But you start to define who the typical buyer is. Now, I've heard a story about Adobe, when they get together to talk about Photoshop, they'll call their conference together and get all their developers in a room, and they'll say, okay, who are we talking about using Photoshop today? Well, we're talking about Sarah. Okay, today's meeting is about how Sarah uses Photoshop. And then they'll go through the meeting, because Sarah is going to use Photoshop different than John and different than George or Fred or whoever, right? So the meeting would go differently depending on how a graphics designer would use it versus a mom or a business owner, right, that's just trying to use it. So it's interesting how this works together. But from your standpoint, it's important to say, okay, who's my ideal customer? If I could pick somebody that is a perfect customer for me, who is that person? And it's probably somebody that you've done business for in the past, that you've already done, you've worked with, and you're like, boy, if I could clone that customer, that'd be awesome, right? And you have to start drilling down on that person. A lot of times when I first ask this question, somebody will say, well, my ideal customer is anybody with a checkbook, or anybody that owns a home, or anybody with a home, right? Well, probably not, right? Renters, probably not an ideal customer, right? Homeowners in a low rent district or a low homeowner district, maybe not an ideal customer. You have to start really being specific about who that particular customer is. And if you look in the worksheet, you'll see we've got a customer profile area in there, along with some questions, right? And in there are some different things such as demographics. So what are certain things that you might know about this person from a demographic standpoint? Most likely they're a homeowner, right? Maybe they're 35 to 55 years old. Your particular demographic maybe even shifts a little bit older in the window treatment world. Typically female, or are they male buyers? I would probably say they're probably female is probably the main decision maker. Married, 2 to 3 kids. They probably moved out of the home. Annual household income is X. And then get into things like, are they family oriented? those kinds of things. You can probably look at a couple of your customers and start to put together a picture, maybe that is similar to this, maybe a little bit different. But if you start to look at specifically from a demographic standpoint, you could get some of these things answered. All right, let me look at the chat, make sure we don't have any questions here. Eric, since Google no longer provides the Google organic search engine information, keywords, for example, how does one accurately track which leads are coming from organic and which are from PPC? So I think the easy answer is, so I'm just trying to think of how I should easily answer this. It's easy to do. You can track how somebody comes in from pay-per-click by adding information to the end of the link. So when you build in an ad, you can add some additional information to that link that tells the receiving website that this is a visitor from a paid ad. We are going to get into tracking related things, I think in week 4 or maybe week 5, and we'll kind of dig into that a little bit more. So I'm not trying to put you off, but we're going to dig into that a little bit more down the road. But yes, it is definitely possible to tell if they're coming from organic, if they're coming from a paid ad, if they're coming from social media, if they're coming from even from inside your website, if they're using, if they're coming from your newsletter or from a chat widget, from your form, all of these things are trackable. So it's just how you build the links inside of there. And we can definitely get into that when we get to the tracking phase. But in short, it is possible, definitely. All right. Let's see, I don't see any other questions there. So, all right. Any questions about the demographics piece? If you have any of those, pop those in the chat. And let me see here. All right. I'm going to jump over to pains and frustrations. So, again, when you get to the home, you guys are probably doing in-home consultations. What is the thing that they're trying to solve, right? Is it that they work the night shift and they need room darkening, right? Is it that they just had a baby, right? And they need something for the windows? Is it that they're preparing for the holidays and they just want to impress the relatives, right? There could be a lot of reasons. But what is it? Is it simply that they've called 7 window treatment companies and none of them will answer the phone, right? It could be anything. It could be that I'll use my own example, that the wife is tired of the husband doing a very poor job of putting up window blinds and just wants somebody else to do it right. That could be very possible as well. There's always these kind of different reasons, but there's typically a reason. So what are those reasons that they are calling you in the first place? Definitely that. Oh yeah, the blinds with the cords. That one obviously is very popular and top of mind right now as well. So think about those. Think about the reasons that they're calling you or that they're reaching out to you in the first place. Those things are very important, and make sure that you're documenting those different things, the ones that you hear over and over, especially. Now, the other side of that is fears and implications. What are the things they're worried about if they don't solve that problem, if they don't fix that thing, right? Or if they don't get a hold of a business, or if they get a hold of the wrong business, right? What are they worried about if they get a hold of your competitor who is, just what did somebody call them? A trunk slammer, right? What are they worried about? Are they worried about getting ripped off? Are they worried about somebody tracking mud through the house, right? Messing up their carpet? Are they worried about buying cheap stuff? Are they worried about it not being installed for 6 weeks? Are they worried about you not showing up? That kind of stuff. faulty workmanship, all those different things. Lots of different reasons why they could be concerned about, and you could even get a little bit more specific here, especially around things like motorization. They're worried about not getting a product that'll work with their specific setup, right? Or room darkening, it'll still have light coming in the sides, that kind of stuff. Those kinds of things could be possible as well. So write those down, and maybe it's product specific or situation specific, but I think having those different things written down ahead of times would help you be able to identify them and of course be able to respond to them when they do bring those up. All right. All right. Goals and desires. Let's see if I skipped one here. No, we're good. Okay. Goals and desires. So long-term goal, what is the goal here? Well, most likely it's to get blinds fixed or installed, or just having the issue behind them. Obviously, impressing the relatives, right? Even beyond just having this particular problem solved. But overall, if we look back at demographics, is it that they want to have successful kids, travel more, not worry about the vacation home, those kinds of bigger overarching things. All of these things are very important, that you can build a better understanding of who that particular customer is. And I heard this saying a while back: if you can see Joe Smith through Joe Smith's eyes, then you'll know how to sell what Joe Smith buys. I really liked that when I heard it, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty darn spot on. And I'll even say this: for the first couple years that I heard about avatars, and I've heard about these in the past, that I kind of was like, yeah, it sounds really good. It's probably an exercise that would be maybe worth doing. But once I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, for me to be able to be very specific about who I'm speaking to, really dials in my message. It gives me exactly who to talk to, but it also helps me start to filter out who not to talk to, right? Because I'm a little bit more specific about who I'm able to do business with. And at the same time, I understand who might start to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, because I can identify the things that I don't want to be in business with as well. So definitely worth considering. All right, questions. Leah says, how many personas do you suggest we create? When I look at my top 10 clients from the past year, there's no obvious one persona, and 3 to 4 very different ones. Do we only want to target our number one? So fantastic question, Leah. I would definitely create 4 or 5 or 6 personas. And it could be 1 or 2 per product, maybe. I think you'll start to see some overlap, to the point where maybe you end up with 4 or 5 total personas overall, that are cross product, that are very similar to each other. Yeah, good question. You don't just want one persona. You're going to end up with probably 4 or 5 that are similar to Adobe and Photoshop, right? They probably got 4 or 5 personas of people that use the same product, but they use them differently. So great question. I would say you're probably going to end up with that 4 to 5 range. And then, of course, if you're doing awnings, that would probably be different, totally different than window treatments. That would be, a totally different problem that they're solving and everything. Of course, some things are still going to be the same. They're still going to be a homeowner. They're still going to have a lot of the same demographic related things, that they're just going to be changing the pain points and then what they're trying to solve, right? But some of the other things would probably still be very similar. So again, there's probably still going to be some overlap in those. Great question. All right. Good. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to grab a drink in case anybody else is typing. You guys getting some good value out of this? Certainly hope you are. All right. All right. Let's jump into keyword research. So a big piece of this is understanding what in the world should I even be targeting when it comes to keyword research? And who was it that said that earlier, that said, I don't even know what keywords. It was Leah, knowing what keywords to target. All right, so let's talk a little bit about keywords. I had a client, or I had a potential client, who called me maybe 2 weeks ago, and they said, we just want to rank for maybe 3 or 4 keywords. That's it, and we'll be okay. And it was very short-sighted, quite honestly. There are thousands of keywords that you could potentially rank for. In fact, I use a tool called Ahrefs, and we're going to see this tool in a couple minutes here. But I typed in window treatments into their keyword tool, and it came back with 21,693 potential combinations. That's insane. That's insane. Can you imagine trying to come up with all those? And just to think there's that many different ways that somebody could find you, right? 21,000. And that's just when I typed that in. That number is always changing and growing because people are always thinking of different ways to type it in, but it's just crazy the number of keywords that are potentially out there that you could possibly use. Now, to say that you could rank for all those, yeah, probably not. There is definitely a list of top keywords that people use, right? There's a priority order to this, right? For the most part, you're going to want to rank for window treatments location, right? Window treatments Memphis, if that's where you're at. That by far is the number one phrase you want to rank for, right? But there is also the search for window treatments near Memphis, window treatments in Memphis, window treatments around Memphis, right? There's all these other things that are also similar to that. And that's where all these other phrases come from. So if you go to wtmarketingpros.com/keywords, we've put a list out there of the top keywords. And these are keywords that we use in pay-per-click campaigns. And obviously we use on our customers' websites, things like that. There's a link in the chat for you that you can go grab this. You don't have to opt in. You don't have to put your email address, anything like that. Just go grab it. But this is a good start, right? So this will help you, Leah, to get kind of a good idea of where to start. And this particular document also has kind of like the average monthly searches in there, so you can see how many times these are searched. Now, the number in there is how many times this is searched in the US in a 30-day period. So you can see the top phrases are blinds, window treatments, things like that, right? And of course, you want to rank for those, but the best scenario for you guys is always product or service and location. When you have those two things married together, if you can rank for something like that, it's going to be a revenue generating keyword for you, right? So these are really small. I think it says window blinds Memphis, right? If you could rank for that, it's probably somebody that is a potential customer for you, right? Now, maybe window blinds is a bad example because a lot of our clients don't want to rank for blinds related searches. But let's say window treatments Memphis is something they want to rank for, something like that, right? But you get the idea. If you can marry product or service with location, you're gonna benefit from that. It's going to turn into an appointment or some sort of revenue, a lead of some sort in most cases. So grab that absolutely free there. Couple tools. So I mentioned the Ahrefs Keyword Explorer. Ahrefs is a tool that we use, and I'm going to jump over there and show it to you guys. But it lets you plug in different key phrases, and it actually gives you the key phrase. It gives you how difficult it would be to rank for that phrase. And then it also tells you search volume over history, how often people search for that in the past. And then it gives you a list of other phrases that people also search for. So a real good tool to start to get ideas of how people search for things. Now, this particular tool does cost. It's ahrefs.com. I don't know what it costs. I think there's a free version. I know that I spend a lot of money on this tool, but I know there is a free version that has some limitations to it. But let me pull this up. Are you guys seeing my Google screen here? ahrefs.com. Yes, we are. You get, okay, you see it. Good, good, good. All right, sign in. All right, so if I go to the Keywords Explorer tool here, so I can just type in window treatments. I'm sorry, I'm looking to my left. I've got it on my other screen here. So current keyword difficulty of 73. So not an easy keyword to rank for. Don't let that scare you, because quite honestly, you don't want to rank for window treatments. That's a national term that you probably don't want to rank for, right? You want to rank for window treatments some city, right? So the keyword difficulty of that is probably really low because there's a lot less competition. So that doesn't need to be a huge issue, but 23,000 searches in the last 30 days. It is definitely trending downward, which is not unusual because of the time of year, right? This is kind of the crappy 3 months of the year for us. I fully expect this to start shooting upwards in the next 30 days. So that's not unusual. You can also see global volume over here, where people are searching for this. And then top searches, window treatments near me, 4,000 searches a month. Kitchen window treatments, what is that? 2.5, 2,500 searches a month. So if you're thinking, well, I need to write a blog, what would be a good first article for me to write? Probably something related to kitchen window treatments, right? Modern window treatments for sliding glass doors. That's pretty popular, but I bet a bunch of you would probably want to avoid that one, right? A lot of our clients want to avoid the vertical thing, but maybe there's some other options out there. But anyway, gives you some really cool ideas, right? Well, what is this long thing? I can't read it. It's too far away from me. But anyway, it gives you some really cool ideas. So this is a cool tool, Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. I think they do have some free tools that you can use. A bunch of other stuff you can do here, but this is their keyword tool that they use, and it gives you some other things along with what are the top websites. Was that say Home Depot is the #1 site for national search related terms. So there's some really neat stuff in here that you can see, but for the most part, this is what you're after, especially this keyword ideas area. What are other things that people are searching for? So that's a tool that you can use. I really like that tool. And quite honestly, we're in this tool every day. Our SEO team is always using Ahrefs for a lot of different things. Now, another tool you can use is Google's Keyword Planner. This is part of the Google pay-per-click system. So you can just go to Google and type in Google Keyword Planner, and this tool will come up. It's absolutely free. We don't use this tool a whole lot for keyword planning. In fact, we probably don't use it at all. I don't care for it because it is driven by pay-per-click. So the ultimate goal for this tool is to get you to run ads, right? So the data behind it is from pay-per-click, and they want you to run ads using these particular keywords. So I just feel like the data might be a little bit skewed, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. So we don't use this particular tool, but it is available for data mining purposes to get some ideas of other potential keywords that are out there. The tool does do a good job of bunching keywords together, which is kind of cool. But we don't use it a whole lot. Now, another one that's really neat is AnswerThePublic, AnswerThePublic.com. Now, what this tool does is you put in a phrase and then it gives you different things like questions related to the keyword. It gives you prepositions that are used with that keyword, negatives. It gives you, well, what else we got? Comparisons, all kinds of craziness. So let's jump over and look at that real quick. So AnswerThePublic.com. So if I just go down here, I'm going to use Google window treat. Whoa. It just went crazy on me. Here it is. Window treatments. $587 results. So you can see here, it gives me all kinds of crazy things that it's got related to window treatments. So what does this say? Can window blinds be repaired? Can window blinds be shortened? So just all kinds of crazy ideas, right? This is a great tool for content ideas for your site. If we scroll down here, prepositions that people might use related to window treatments with crown molding. Okay, that's pretty cool. So just different ideas of ways that you could generate content, keyword ideas. Really cool tool. I think here's comparisons. I think at the bottom of this, it also does it, in alphabetical order. And I'm pretty sure you can actually download this entire thing. So a really cool tool, different way to go about some keyword research. What do you guys think about that? That's a pretty cool tool there. Really kind of gets your juices flowing when it comes to different ideas for keywords as well. That's AnswerThePublic, and that one's been around for a couple of years now. All right, let's see. Any questions? All right, I don't see anything yet. Let's keep cruising along here. All right, so those are some different keyword techniques. Obviously, you need to use a lot of different things together. Don't just use one tool, but kind of start with a big list. Obviously, start with the list that we gave you. I think that's a fantastic way to go. Think about what your customers are interested in. Obviously, start with your product list is a great way to start. You've already got a list on your website of products, probably, right? You've got your top key products. Those are probably top keywords that people are going to search for. And then use a tool like AnswerThePublic to see what kind of questions are people asking related to these products. And then that'll help you start building out your content a little bit. And we'll go through this a little bit more in subsequent weeks here. Tools like Google's Keyword Planner can help you expand your list based on search volume competition. So that's one good thing about that Keyword Planner tool is they will tell you how many people are bidding on a specific phrase, and they'll tell you what the average cost per click is for that. So if you were to bid on that, how much would you have to pay to be considered on that? Analyze search intent. So this is something I did want to touch on too. For the most part, there are, now I'm very much overgeneralizing this, but in the world of the internet, there are two kinds of searches. There's research and there's purchase related searches. Research is they're just looking to solve something or they're looking for something. And then obviously purchase is some sort of purchase related intent, right? It's one of those two things. They're trying to find something or solve something, or they're trying to buy something. So you have to understand search intent first of all, and then try to help solve for that. Obviously, we want to help solve for the purchase intent, right? So we want to answer those questions, but also the research intent. If somebody's searching for something like room darkening ideas, we want to be part of that conversation so that we can drive them down the path of room darkening shades, right? So definitely consider intent when it comes to why somebody might be typing in a certain term in the first place. The other side of that is true too. If somebody's typing in cheap window blinds, do you want to rank for that term? In most cases, you probably don't, because that intent is probably not going to match up to one of your customer personas. So keep that in mind as well, right? All right. Definitely important. So another tool that's pretty cool is Google Trends. And Google Trends, I think it's trends.google.com. I think that'll get you there. I'm sure if you just go to Google and type in Google Trends, you'll end up there. But Google Trends is pretty cool. Again, you just type in a phrase and it will literally show you how many times over time that phrase has been used or looked for, searched. And then you can change location. You can drill down to the state. You want to see how many times window treatments has been looked for in Texas versus Delaware? You can do that. You want to compare two different phrases? You can do that. Window treatments versus window coverings. There we go. So a lot of times, especially in our industry, we kind of get hung up on the window coverings word. But in the real world, not a lot of people use window coverings, right? It's kind of it's not used nearly as much as window treatments. So, those kind of things are good to know, that is an industry related term pretty much only. So you can really start to compare these different things, and compare them to each other, and then compare them by location, by time, all kinds of different things, by web search, by desktop versus mobile. There's a lot of different ways to go about doing some of these terms, but Google Trends is pretty cool little tool to kind of play with as well. So, all right. So did you guys get some value out of this today? Put a 1 in the chat if you found something valuable to help you out today with personas, with keyword research, something like that. Couple 1s. Awesome. Good. I really appreciate it. Good. All right. What kind of questions do you guys have? For you that are on the Zoom live, you can unmute yourself if you'd like and ask. You can obviously put those into the chat if you prefer. And I want to let's get those questions answered. And then I want to wrap up with a couple last minute things. And let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. Thank you so much. All right, let me do this right now. This is something that came out yesterday. This is a website called Search Engine Land, and this is a nerd site that I watch, right? And yesterday they came out with this. Google is launching a massive update to their core. This is a big update. One of the biggest updates that Google is having in the future, in the past, recently, leading up to a 40% reduction in unhelpful content within search. So, part 1 of what they called the helpful content update came out around March, April of last year. And in fact, a lot of our clients and a lot of people that I've talked to had this dip in March and April. And it was because Google made this huge, massive update to their algorithm where they said any content on a site that is what they call thin content, or typically 200-300 words of content, and it was just kind of generic. It wasn't helpful. That's why they called it the helpful content update. They just unindexed that content. So it no longer showed up in Google at all. So Google, as of yesterday, made that part of their overall core update, and they're rolling this out like right now as of yesterday. So these are big SEO updates that are happening ongoing all the time. And thank you for mentioning that to me, Liz. I did want to make sure that you guys knew about that. These things are always popping up on us. We never know what the next update from Google is going to be. So, all right, cool. Well, I don't see any questions. So let's wrap this up and get you guys on with your day. So as I mentioned, this is one part of our digital dominance method. Today, we talked about part number 2. Next week, we are talking about on-page SEO, things that you can do on your website to influence Google's thoughts of you, what they think about you, what they think about your website. And we're gonna go through some a little bit more nerdy stuff, but some things that you can change that will definitely influence your overall rankings. All right, a couple things here. If you have questions, and you do probably have some homework, especially around the personas, if you have any questions, post those into our Facebook group, the Window Treatment and Awning Marketing Secrets group. You can scan that QR code, and that'll take you straight to that group. And you can post your questions in there. We'll be able to answer them. My whole team's in there. And then resources. There's some additional resources that we've made available for week 1, and all 6 weeks will end up being in there. But shoot that SEO Masterclass resources as well. That'll take you to our Google Drive folder, and that will give you access to all of the resources as well. So grab that, get into the Facebook group, and thank you guys for jumping on. I really appreciate it. Next Wednesday, same time, we're going to be talking about on-page SEO techniques that you can use. And I appreciate you guys being on. We've also put something together for week 6, which is our final wrap up. I'm going to be live at IWCE. So we're going to be doing some really cool stuff in week 6, but let's get through all the really cool stuff to help you guys really grow your business. And thank you again for jumping on. We'll see you next Wednesday. Take care, everybody. See ya.